That little shit, Mayor Sadiq Khan, puts out a statement saying that we should all hug our brown, black and ethnic minority neighbours. What a race-baiting little shit. Why can't we just hug our neighbours? Love thy neighbour. Or is that too Christian? No, he doesn't want real community cohesion. No, he wants to cause division. Eh? Where are his statements calling for people to hug their Jewish neighbours for the past 7 months, when Jews kept telling him that pro-Palestinian marches he sanctioned made them feel terrified in their own country? He was pretty fucking silent then, wasn't he? Do you know what? It's gone mad. Our leaders have done nothing but make the situation worse. Barney Rubble, right, Keir, two-tier Keir, he must surely recall Parliament in a minute. He's come back from his holidays early, hasn't he? But they've got to come back and have a proper debate about the tensions in the country, and not just arrest people. There's tensions going on. There's poor Muslim, Pakistani, Bangladeshi people frightened to death of the so-called right-wing.
Comedian and longtime critic of political correctness, Jim Davidson, has once again ignited national debate after launching a furious tirade against London Mayor Sadiq Khan, fueling both condemnation and support in a country increasingly fractured along cultural and political lines. In an online outburst that has since gone viral, Davidson slammed Khan over a variety of issues, ranging from crime in the capital to what he perceives as cultural appeasement and erosion of British identity. While the entertainer has long positioned himself as a provocateur, this latest rant has taken a more personal, incendiary tone, sparking calls for social media platforms to remove the content and raising fresh questions about the limits of free speech. People are fed up, Davidson said in the now viral clip. Fed up of crime, fed up of political correctness, and fed up of people like Sadiq Khan treating London like his own private fiefdom. It's not your city, mate, it's ours. Davidson's critics have swiftly condemned the language used, calling it Islamophobic and inflammatory. Several political commentators and advocacy groups have warned that such rhetoric plays into rising tensions at a time when the UK is already grappling with deep polarization on matters of race, immigration, and national identity. Sadiq Khan has received numerous death threats over the years, said a spokesperson for the mayor's office. Public figures using their platforms to incite hatred, whether directly or implicitly, are complicit in a wider culture of hostility and abuse. However, the backlash hasn't stopped others from rallying behind Davidson. Among his supporters are segments of the public who view the comedian as a rare voice, pushing back against what they describe as woke authoritarianism and the perceived silencing of dissent. In these circles, Sadiq Khan, alongside Labour leader Keir Starmer, is increasingly portrayed as a symbol of establishment decay, accused of prioritizing globalist values over traditional British interests. A poll conducted last year by The Times found Sadiq Khan's approval rating among Londoners had declined, particularly over concerns about crime and public safety. However, critics argue that Davidson and others are exploiting legitimate concerns for the sake of populist outrage, using provocative language to stoke division rather than dialogue. For his part, Khan has remained largely silent on the matter, sticking to his public messaging about unity, inclusion, and building a safer London. But insiders suggest that pressure is mounting within Labour circles to more forcefully rebut what they see as a rising tide of culture war rhetoric, targeting both the mayor and the party's broader urban electorate. What's clear is that Davidson's words, whether viewed as reckless provocation or necessary truth-telling, reflect a deeper cultural divide in modern Britain. As the country gears up for the next general election, figures like Jim Davidson are increasingly shaping the tone of public debate, and the political establishment is struggling to respond. In an age where outrage equals influence, the line between comedy and political commentary is more blurred than ever, and Jim Davidson appears to know exactly where to draw fire.
If the majority of British Britons in Britain today don't want and have never wanted mass immigration from the third world, we can basically, I'm from London, right? And we can basically see before our eyes the decline and degradation that third world immigration brings, okay? Yeah, it doesn't matter really now whether you're on the left or on the right. Those people that were on the left 15, 20 years ago that would call me a racist and a little Englander are now having their phones stolen, they're getting sexually harassed and beaten up in London and our towns and cities, and they're kind of coming around to our way of thinking. You know, the reality is, you know, there are now over 50,000 people on the Islamic terror watch list.
Yeah.
Now, in 1995, that number was 0. So there's a direct correlation between the amount of immigration you have from the Islamic third world and subsequent terrorism. We've imported FGM, honour killing, sham marriage, suicide bombing, the full vow, grooming gangs, lone wolf attacks. You know, we've got violent gangs all over our towns and cities. That when I was a boy, I'm 48, right? When I was a boy, I grew up in London in SE21, down Croxted Road, if anyone knows it, near Brockwell Park.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was a lot safer, right?
I would agree.
Now the big change has been mass immigration from the third world. Now, most people can see it destroying the fabric of our country, and Europe for that matter, but I'm mainly concerned with this country. Most of us can see that it's ruining the country and destroying the fabric of our country, okay? And the thing is, we told successive governments now for 25, 30 years, we voted for it, we've given them explicit instructions. Now, David, they work for us, okay?
Yeah, we pay their wages.
Yeah, they work for us. If the majority of British people are saying, look, we don't want it, we've never wanted it, it's ruining our country, you need to stop illegal immigration, you need to cut legal immigration down to exceptionally low numbers.
Yeah.
But they won't listen, right?
Why don't they listen?
No, but they won't do as they've been told or instructed to because I'm the only thing I can think of is I agree with your guest. They're puppets. There's someone else with their hands up their jacksie telling them what they can and can't do. Why can't we have a diplomatic incident with France?
Well, we can.
Why can't we just say no? The British public don't want them. It's destroying the country. It's costing us tens of billions of pounds. I mean, why would you take my money? I'm a higher rate taxpayer. Why would you take my money, right, and not use it for the things I want you to use it for, but instead pay for someone to have driving lessons, a mobile phone, a nice warm hotel, whilst our own pensioners freeze? That to me shows me that white British people in Britain are at the bottom of the list.
In a fiery intervention that has struck a chord across Britain's increasingly disillusioned electorate, Dr. David Bull, broadcaster, former MEP, and Reform UK stalwart, has taken direct aim at the Westminster establishment, accusing political elites of serving shadowy interests rather than the people who elect them. In a blunt and characteristically unfiltered statement posted to social media, Dr. Bull said, "They are puppets, someone else with their hands up their jacksie telling them what they can and can't do." The imagery may be colorful, but the message is deadly serious. Britain's political class, in Bull's view, no longer answers to the public, but to lobbyists, international institutions, unelected bureaucrats, and corporate donors. This latest broadside is part of a growing trend in British politics, one where populist figures like Bull, Nigel Farage, and Richard Tice cast themselves as champions of the ignored and betrayed. Their rallying cry is simple: the people voted for change, but the elites delivered more of the same. Dr. Bull's remarks tap into a deep well of public frustration. From Brexit betrayal to net zero mandates, from immigration surges to endless tax hikes, many feel that politicians from both major parties are reading from the same script, one that ignores the electorate's concerns in favor of global consensus and corporate alignment. The backlash against technocratic rule and perceived political puppeteering is not unique to the UK. Across Europe and the Western world, a new generation of voters is asking, who really holds the strings? Critics, however, have accused Bull and others in the Reform UK movement of indulging in conspiracy rhetoric, fueling distrust without offering constructive solutions. But Bull's supporters argue that it's the truth that's uncomfortable, not the delivery, and with each passing scandal, whether it's MPs caught with second jobs, civil servants lobbying for big pharma, or trade deals negotiated behind closed doors, more voters seem ready to believe that power no longer resides in Parliament, but somewhere far less accountable. As Reform UK eyes gains in the next election, Bull's comments reflect a broader shift in political discourse, one where blunt truths, however crassly delivered, resonate more deeply than polished platitudes.